We're going to call this meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Dave Campbell.
Here.
Stephen DeArmond.
Here.
Larry Sear.
Here.
Mark Terry.
Here.
Aaron Wilson.
Here.
Bill Wilson.
Here.
Venus Shade.
Here. Okay. Do things a little bit out of order. We have a resolution to discuss first, and then we'll get to public comments. Has everyone had a chance to read the resolution? This is a practice that we've always had as far as limiting who speaks. Any questions on the resolution?
We've already had this.
But we've never had anything written down, Larry.
The reason I drafted one is because back in 2017, a guy went to a school board meeting, and he was, told he had 3 minutes to speak per their policy. He exceeded his 3 minutes. He was told to stop speaking. He wound up suing the school district, claiming he didn't have the ability to, make public comment. The Commonwealth Court reviewed it and said, you are allowed to have reasonable limits on time, reasonable limits on subject matter, but you have to have you have to have a policy to enforce that. Ever since I've been the solicitor here, there's always been an informal policy on the 3 minutes, on the borough residents, but that's never been put down on paper. So, recently we've had refugees, we've had water company, we've had Second Amendment, we've had some labor issues that have all brought
Lengthy.
large crowds with a lot of public comment. This is just a way to try and streamline it and to make sure, the borough's able to enforce its policy and, still give everybody the appropriate amount of comment on issues.
And it doesn't mean that we limit, this protects us from that. If there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion. Do you have any public comments on that issue?
Does this pertain just to certain circumstances, or?
No, it would pertain to any council meeting or committee meeting too, for that matter.
No, I mean, what I'm asking is, let's say like when we go over the bonds, when we refinance the bonds and that, are you saying that those people are only gonna have 3 minutes to explain to us what they're doing?
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, like for instance, there's many times scheduled speakers who come in about bonds, or they hear somebody on here for a business license.
So then this is for specific?
This is for public comment.
Okay.
Those individuals are usually on the agenda.
Correct.
Okay, that answered my question, thank you.
So, although this restricts comments to borough residents, if someone can get themselves on the agenda that's not a borough
Right,
resident.
and I still have the ability
Right.
to allow anybody to speak.
And it's
The
not so much,
president.
and it's not so much that policy restricts it to borough residents. The Sunshine Law restricts it to residents or taxpayers of a municipality. But whoever's running the meeting has the option to allow comment from persons other than residents or taxpayers. But that's right out of the Sunshine Law.
All right, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution on public comment.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Dave Campbell,
Yes.
Stephen DeArmond,
Yes.
Larry Sear,
No.
Mark Terry,
Yes.
Aaron Wilson,
Yes.
Bill Wilson,
No.
Rita Shade.
Yes. Okay. Where's my agenda? Too much on my plate. I got it, thanks. Can you let Mr. Beers go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Beers, you were actually on the agenda, so I'm gonna afford you the opportunity to speak first. Are you here, Harry?
There were a bonfire, Allensville.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, then we'll forgive him for not being here, and we'll let him talk another time. And we have the sign-in sheet here. Mr. Calusi, you were on the agenda, or on the sign-in sheet, and you have your own little subject you'd like to talk about.
Thanks for your time. For all you who don't know me, my name is Mark Calusi. I'm the new Mifflin County Planning Director. And I'm coming because I would like to let you know that our office has had a long-standing, good relationship working with the borough. And I want to come here basically just to reassure everybody that I'd like to consider working with you folks moving forward if you have any projects. In particular, I know that we potentially have discussions about how to spend CDBG dollars in particular, which our office administers on behalf of the borough. We're going to potentially talk about that at the Streets Committee meeting. But one thing I'd like to do is kind of take a proactive, forward-thinking look at how we can look at coordinating different projects. I know there's been a lot of discussions about some recreation grants, discussions about street repavement, CDBG dollars, on down the road, and I think there's a lot of opportunities that if we can have discussions on maybe how you can better coordinate those things and think forward, not only think about how we want to strategize going after grants and spending money potentially in the current fiscal year, but maybe the following fiscal years. So just want to basically extend the olive leaf and say, we're here. We'd like to continue to be able to work with you guys. If you have any opportunities that you want to discuss things, please feel free to contact me anytime. The phone number of our office is 242-0887, or you can stop by. We're in the second floor of the main courthouse. So appreciate the opportunity to be able to work with you. So that's just really kind of the introductory thing, but just a minor thing. I'd be more happy to give more details in the future if you'd like, but I do know that Solicitor Remy does have an item on the agenda related to an easement related to the river trail. I'll stick around in case you have any questions about that particular item.
Well, that's what we were just saying, maybe we could just deal with that now.
Okay. But,
We have, we have in the works extensions of that Riverwalk Trail over two properties, the fire school and the Juniata Concrete. My understanding is both those easements are going to be from the grantors, the Commonwealth and the concrete company, to Mifflin County, and then Mifflin County is going to assign them to the borough.
correct.
And where are they in terms of have the state and the concrete company signed yet, or are they ready for us, or just, that's kind of like, we're just gonna touch base as to where it was at in the process.
So I do know that, our county solicitors and, I know in particular Mike Baker, for example, had an opportunity to look over all this. Certainly, we are recommending official approval from the borough because in order to move forward with any particular execution of grants to go after any more funds to extend what's called the Ralph Mel Trail or the Juniata River walking trail, that easement does need to be in place because in particular the key is with the State Fire Academy property. Since that is a state-owned property, their legal counsel basically, has to have a very specific language. We did try to go after a grant. My predecessor, Bill Gomes, had written a grant to DCNR to get the remaining amount of money for the estimated cost to complete that trail through the end of that particular parcel. And the main number one reason why we did not secure that particular grant at the time was because the land wasn't secured at the time. So we do have a grant opportunity by April the 22nd to apply for the same grant source. We feel really good about securing those funds, which we're able to match against a DCD grant that we already have in hand, as well as some local contributions. So in order to be able to actually apply for those funds and get those funds this year, we need to have that easement in place before April the 22nd. So I do know that, like I said, the county solicitors have looked at this, have passed that on to you.
Yeah, and we've said, yes, we're in favor of this. We just need to get the documents from, the state and the concrete company, which, like I say, I think they're gonna be easements to the county, and I think they're gonna have like a page on the back that says, Borough of Lewistown agrees to accept the assignment of this easement. So once you have them, I think Borough Council has already discussed this, and I think has already voted to move forward. We just need the documents in hand for them to be executed and returned back. So, I mean, we can work together during the week. We don't have to figure this out tonight. I just don't want to get to where we're both waiting for each other to do something.
Well, just so you know where we're currently at with that, I do know that, again, our, Mr. Baker has, as I assumed, forgive me for assuming, but I had assumed he had sent that, but it did have some particular signing language that does have that document. Apparently, as I understand it, is done, and as you indicated, it will have to be signed both by the state, the county, and then there's one additional sheet on there that specifically highlights that it will need to be what they call a joinder consent that basically allows representative, in this case it represents as, President Shade to potentially execute, but as I understand it, it's done, it just needs to be signed, so
Okay,
we can certainly coordinate that, but as I understand it is ready to go.
okay, good then. I guess we're all on the same, the same page then to move forward, I guess. I don't know if it's already been done, but you could ask for a motion to authorize the appropriate officers to sign the agreement of the borough to accept the easements from the county of the fire school and concrete company properties for the extension of the Borough Trail.
Everyone catch that?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Well, I don't think we actually approved it. They already approved the documentation.
Well, this will just
Be
be,
to sign it.
we've been through the documents,
Yeah.
the documents
This
are
is
ready to go, this is just
Yeah.
authority to sign.
So we'd like to make a motion for that.
Mhm.
Well, I make the motion to go ahead and get the document signed.
Second.
Any questions? Stephen, you look quiz, okay. Just making sure, because the three of you weren't here necessarily leading up to that for every conversation, so I just want to make sure.
So what's the end goal of this walking trail?
This will get you to the end of the borough, at that point it would be up to,
Granville.
it'll be in Granville Township, so
is
it will be
Is
between
there,
the
plans to go
township
through
and,
Granville?
I don't know, I haven't discussed it with anybody.
Maybe you can enlighten him, Mr. Calusi,
Yes,
because I know we've
absolutely.
talked about that at Parks and Rec.
In fact, what we're officially calling this is phase 2 of the project. As what's physically completed right now. In fact, this is a great to go check it out. I know my family and I visited yesterday. So, but the second phase of this project will take it from where the terminus of the trail is, which is one parcel over from where the concrete company is. Take it through the concrete company, across the fire academy property. And then one of the benefits, the major benefits to this phase of the project, will actually build what we call a trailhead, build a parking lot on Fire Academy property, so that not only can you get access to the property or the trail from Victory Park, but you can also get to it from State Street, which then you would get access it via the State Fire Academy property. So you can go from one direction to the other way. So, and then there will be another extension that extends out from that to the end of that property, and then essentially we'll just be coordinating whether or not anybody wants to take any further than that. But at this point, We will have, you know, a true trailhead on either end of the trail, which will make it an opportunity to access it from either direction. And I have exhibits, I can certainly, I know I have one in my packet that I can certainly pass around if you'd like to look at it. Apologize, I didn't make copies for everybody, but I do have at least one copy.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I think we got those at some point late last year.
And when phase 2 is completed, we're in essence to Blue Gina Drive, then with the trail.
That's, it'll end at the fire academy.
You're up too far.
Yeah, you're up too far. You know where the fire academy is?
I do,
Okay,
right before Lowe's there.
correct, correct.
Yeah, so anything further would be between basically Granville Township and the county to develop.
Right.
We wouldn't really have anything in it.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote. All those in favor of agreement to sign the documentation when it's completed, say aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Welcome back to the county.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Do you need this back, Mark?
You guys can have it, I can make more if you wanna share it, or make copies. Thank you. Thank you.
I have all this.
Okay, the two other issues we have on the table tonight that everybody wants to talk about are the Second Amendment and the municipal authority. Brian, let's
Yes,
start with you. You wanted the opportunity to speak about the Second Amendment.
I just want to say thank you for working with the committee on getting it set up, and it seemed like everything went fine. I haven't seen the final, what you came up with, but I just want to say thank you. Everything seemed to go smooth.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barger?
I'm just here to listen.
Oh, okay. Mr. Wise?
Yes, I'd like to make a brief statement. I'm not sure which one I signed.
You signed the Second Amendment.
Okay, well, I'd actually like to discuss my view on the water authority and the borough issue.
Well, okay.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to ask, I know it's a public comment issue. Would you be willing to answer some questions or?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, so that's out. What I'd like to state for being a resident of Burnham, we are also a landlocked facility, just like Lewistown. We have hardships just like everyone else. It's kind of hard for me to, or someone needs to explain to me how fair it is for you guys to do something like this that would actually benefit you and not the rest of the county. So apparently no one can answer that, correct? Okay, well, since
I'll make a statement here,
you can make a
and
statement.
I hope that that answers the
Okay, because
question.
fairness is our biggest thing in the rest of the county, especially Burnham Borough. Like I said, we have hardships just like everyone else. And we're not willing to make everyone else pay for it. We have a budget that we try to, Mr. Barger is one of our council members, that we try to maintain. And just the fairness of it just doesn't seem good to us.
Thank you. Melissa?
Hi, Melissa Ramsey. This is more like a question, I guess, but since you're not taking a question, I'll just make a comment.
Okay.
I was just curious as to how much money that the borough actually donated or gave to the water authority when it was made. Everything I've seen that the borough has given nothing, so I'm not sure why it's okay that the borough wants to take over the authority. This is just my, if anybody has anything.
I'm gonna make a statement.
Okay.
Mr. Bub?
Yeah, I just like to say that, I talked to our solicitor today who was going to try to get in touch with Mr. Remy about, I think the last time we met, we set a date for, a future
March 19th.
meeting, March 19th. I haven't heard for sure if that was still going to happen or not.
Oh, I'm under the impression
hopeful
it
that
is.
it is, I just haven't
I have it on
got
my book,
confirmation.
so-
Yeah, I haven't heard anything otherwise.
So, okay, very good.
Okay. And is it Reek or Reich?
Right.
Sorry, I couldn't remember.
That's all right. First off, thanks for the opportunity as a
as a resident of one of the wealthier neighbors, Berry Township, I just appreciate the time to get up and express my thoughts and concerns. And I too echo the gentleman from Burnham that with multiple municipalities involved in the water authority, why, even though it technically is legal for you to do this, why you wouldn't want discussion or input from those other municipalities for this. And I understand you're gonna make a statement, so hopefully that puts some of those answers to bed. And the last thing I wanted to say is my heart goes out to the employees of the water authority. Having a job hung above your head is just not an easy feeling. I've been there, so.
That is simply not the case here.
Okay.
I mean, it's very hard to sit here and not reply to these things.
I know.
I mean,
If you're gonna make a statement, why don't you do it now? Maybe it'll answer
going
some
to.
of these questions.
I'm going
You
to.
know, before we go through this rigmarole.
Okay. We have, like you, read letters from other municipalities and are not going to debate all of the statements that have been made in those letters. However, we do find it ridiculous for some to claim that the borough had no meaningful role in the creation and success of the water system. Whether the original water well and lines were owned by a company or the taxpayers of the borough, it was the foresight of our borough's leaders to create the municipal authority of the Borough of Lewistown, to expand and improve that small system and compel its citizens to connect to it. It was the abandonment of private wells and required use by the citizens of this borough that made the system viable. Revenues from borough citizens over several decades enabled the water system to expand and serve its neighbors at their request. Without the solid base of customers here in the borough, the water lines could never have been extended out into the rural townships. Otherwise, Lewistown Borough citizens would be connected to an Armel Township Water Authority system. This council, like any other governing body of a municipality, has a duty to examine every potential source of income, whether it be grants or other aid from the state, or aid from a municipal authority. We are doing what we feel is our sworn duty to our citizens, nothing more, nothing less. The borough met with authority representatives twice in late 2019 to discuss options, and the authority employees and board were informed that the borough's intentions was not to seek privatization. Until December 18th of 2019, council believed discussions were proceeding reasonably well, and we were awaiting the completion of a study of the authority's operations. That is when the authority authorized a new $30 million bond issue. One purpose, according to the manager, was to freeze the authority's debt so that it could not be repaid for at least 10 years. The council interpreted this action as a strategy to eliminate the borough's rights and the authority's desire to end productive discussions. The borough then responded with a resolution to simply freeze things as they were until negotiations could resume. That is when the authority's manager began attacking the borough in a campaign of misinformation. All that being said, council is prepared to restart negotiations with the water authority and consider other alternatives and ideas. We will not press the authority on the sale or lease of its assets so long as constructive discussions take place. However, this council will not allow 3 unelected members of the Water Authority Board and its vocal employee to make council's decisions for it. We will resist any attempts by the authority to make changes to its documents that would prohibit the borough from exercising its rights in whatever form they ultimately take. Okay, that's my statement. Let's move on with our consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anyone would like pulled or needs further discussion on?
Yeah, I'd like to have the personnel meeting for February 20th.
Pulled out of the consent agenda?
Yeah.
The approval of the minutes, A4.
That's what he's referring to, right, Larry? The approval of the minutes, you're referring to that?
Yeah. I don't see anywhere where we're gonna hear 'em.
There aren't any. I mean, there are, but they're, you can give it to them? Okay. I think it was on the protected documents.
Yes, it is, with everything that's needed for the meetings.
Okay.
Well, how can we approve the minutes if we don't know what they were about?
That is the minutes. Anything else? Take a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
You want A4 removed though, Larry, right?
Pardon?
You want A4 removed from that?
Yes.
Okay. With A4 excluded.
I'll make a new motion to accept the consent agenda. with
No,
A4
it's okay. We just need a vote. We had a first and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Ms. Walters?
AG channel minutes were distributed at your place for January of 2020. The Borough of Lewistown gets audited annually from our independent auditors on all of our accounts. And I wanted to inform council that they will be here on Thursday, March the 12th. And also, the borough also gets audited every 2 years from the state auditor on our state local fuels accounts. They're also gonna be here on Thursday to audit the books. So it's gonna be busy for me on Thursday, but I wanted to let you know.
You said the 12th, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
this Thursday. So we'll get their reports after they're completed, as we always usually do. The borough also received the liquid fuels tax allocation on March the 2nd, and that amount was $227,500.35. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, PennDOT's project for South Route 3002 and South Route 3006 is anticipated for construction to start in September of this year. They're going to be replacing the traffic signals at South Route 302 and 3rd Street, which is the North Juniata Street by Sheets, and the traffic signal South Route 302, Bell Avenue and Market Street, which is actually by the River Bridge. In order for them to continue to replace these items, they're requiring a resolution from us allowing the borough manager to execute the application for the traffic signal documents. I would need council's approval for these resolutions. And I wanted to see also if council wanted me to request a flashing beacon at the North Juniata Street signal by the Dollar General store with submitting them. I know we talked about this in law and ordinance meeting, so I need council's approval and council's wishes on
How does this do the crossing there by Sheets and Dollar General?
that. They're going to be doing a whole new traffic.
They'll do a
signal
whole new
there.
traffic
Yes,
signal?
mhm.
And I think the letter that we received from them said something about a crosswalk there?
No, that was something separate.
That was
That's a
different, okay.
issue. But this is just the application stating, you know, hey, they're gonna fix up, they're put a new existing one there. But it also has here on about a flashing beacon.
So will
if
that
council-
increase the safety for people there?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes, but, if that's council's issue.
Where's the flashing beacon gonna go? If they're replacing the red light, right?
Mhm.
Where's the flashing beacon
I think they
gonna
were
be?
talking about like the crosswalk, you know how it says you can cross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to visualize all this.
Yeah, so they're moving the red light up.
Well,
No.
from my understanding, they're just keeping this.
They're just
same.
replacing.
They're just
They're
fixing,
just replacing
putting,
it with,
yes.
okay to walk.
Yeah, yeah, yes, exactly.
They'll
So
add
the
one of
flashing,
those.
yes,
Right.
yeah,
Thanks.
yes.
I got you. hope it dings and stuff too for people that can't read. Or see, I guess that's why they ding, right? Okay. So do we have a motion to accept that resolution to allow Diana to execute the documents?
There's two resolutions for those two traffic signal areas.
We can do them both in one motion.
Yeah.
To approve both the resolutions. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So the next thing we're gonna talk about is the pool grant feasibility study. I got an email from the AIDS group. We did discuss this briefly at finance meeting, and that was to get more figures in regards to it. The total project budgeted is $29,000, and that will be $14,500 for the grant to apply for, and $14,500 required as a local match. So it would be up to council if we would want to do this. Lucas is here. If Lucas, would you mind going into more detail on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you guys a little bit of an update. We met with Diana and some borough staff about 3 or 4 weeks ago down at the pool, walked around and pretty much came up with a pretty thorough list of everything that needs upgraded down there. You guys have received grants in the past to get things to where they are. I think we're at a point now, it's been 10 or 12 years, I think, since our last improvement project to do some additional work. Both the concession stand, accessibility, the locker rooms and the restrooms are starting to get a little dated. There's some other safety improvements, look at some additional improvements for the kids, look at the pump house and the pumping system, and just see what options are out there. As far as grants go, one of the only grants that are available for pools is through the DCNR. They have some pretty good recreation grants. One of them covers pool improvements. Unfortunately, in order to get grant money to improve the pool, we first need to do a study that pretty much lines up everything to DCNR guidelines. They do provide a grant for that feasibility study. It is a 50% matching grant, which is pretty good. But they have pretty much a 5 or 6 page litany of things that you need to do in that feasibility study. Public participation and public input in meetings, an analysis of the pool's operations over the last 5 years, projections of the pool operations for 5 years into the future, a full facilities analysis, both the mechanical systems of the pool. Accessibility is one of the main things that they look at. And in this feasibility study, we would obviously conduct all of those public meetings, similar to what we did with the traffic for the parking study. Look and conduct all the analysis with our mechanical department, and then with our architects, look at all the accessibility upgrades that are required. With that, we'd have to do some conceptual plans. From those conceptual plans, we would do construction cost estimates. And I think what DCNR is doing is they pretty much run you through the ringer up front, so that when you come for a construction grant, you know if it's going to be $25,000 or $50,000 or $75,000 to do all of this, and they have all the background and steps in place, so that when they release the funds, it's pretty much a go. And the one thing nice about this study and this feasibility report is that once it's completed, a lot of the stuff's already going to be in pretty good detail to take it to bid, including those handicapped improvements. So with that, we've done a handful of these in the past, and we looked at some of our other budgets. They can range anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, depending on the size and the scope of the pool. We're confident that we can keep it in under $29,000. I know that is a lot of money, but when you factor in, all the public input and everything that comes into play to prepare that feasibility study, that is our estimate. Our hope would be to try and keep an eye on costs and expenses, but that's sort of an upfront number for you guys to consider. In order to complete the grant, Mark, I think, had told me we can complete the grant and submit all the paperwork to DCNR for about $750. So that would get the ball rolling and get all the paperwork in, and that's the middle of April as well. I think April 22nd is that due date. So I don't know if you guys had any questions.
I do, Lucas.
Yes.
This feasibility study,
Mhm.
would it be possible to use that same study for any grant applications in the future other than, I mean, that involved that area? So let's say next year, whatever.
Right.
Could we use that same feasibility study?
Yes, for anything regarding the pool and everything around it, yes.
So it would be the entire recreational area, the entire park.
It's not for the park and as a whole. I know about 5 or 6 years ago, previous staff had utilized the landscape architect from York to do the it was sort of a rec study for the entire rec park. We do have a copy of that, and it highlighted a lot of these areas. It had about a half a page on the pool and the upgrades required for that, but to meet their guidelines, it unfortunately wasn't up to standards for what DCNR requires. In it, it has, the pavilion work that you guys have already done. It has the addition of new pavilions, I think, to help improve folks using Rec Park. It talked about some semblance of maybe an amphitheater, an area for ice skating. The lights at the baseball fields came up, and you guys have followed through with that, and all sorts of stuff. So yes, we can.
Can you get us a
Yes,
copy of that,
we can
Lucas?
get a copy of that. Yep, I
That
think.
was before Larry and Bill were.
Just
here,
about,
but-
yeah. Yeah, it was about 5 or 6 years ago. So my hope was that had enough information to satisfy DCNR, but unfortunately it doesn't. So we have a large picture of Rec Park that we can use as our starting point, and then this is really drilling down to the pool specifics.
So you mentioned that there was a grant for the study.
There is.
What do you think is the odds of us getting that grant? Because it'll pay for half, right?
That's correct. I think it actually is rather high. I know in talking with the folks at DCNR, they have a lot of money available, not only for the pool improvements, but also for small communities and small community playground improvements. Obviously they've funded phase 1 of the walking trail, $250,000, and I think they've pitched in another $250,000. That's what Mark Calusi's trying to match with DCD, or vice versa. We have the DCD now, and we're trying to get the DCNR. So they definitely have a vested interest in Lewistown. Every time they come up, we look at different projects that are out there and other ways to improve the borough. So
that 50% grant for the study
Yes.
would cover half of your proposed 29,000. That's what you're saying.
that's correct. Yep, to complete the study. And then we'd have everything in place to go after the construction grant next year, if everything comes through.
And just for clarification, that is necessary in order to even see any of this grant, correct?
It is.
Apply for the
Yeah,
grant.
to get any of the actual construction dollars, we have to do the
But we need to
study.
do that, they'll apply for the grant at all, correct?
That's correct. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so. I'll entertain a motion to do a feasibility study if anybody is so inclined
And at this point, it's to apply for the grant.
to apply for the grant.
Yep,
Oh,
to-
okay, just to apply for the grant, you're
Yes,
talking
that's all we're.
$750 there.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct at this point.
Thank you for that clarification. So,
I will definitely make a motion for $750 to at least apply for the grant.
okay.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
And I know that myself and Diane and Venus have been trying to take a long, hard look at the pool at Rec Park, the staffing and what's needed down there to bring it up to date. And we definitely have to do whatever we can do to not let it,
Go by the wayside.
yes,
I agree.
deteriorate and get stuck.
It's behind now.
It is.
Well, like Lucas alluded to, there was a pretty big project, probably, I think Dave was still here.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, because I remember there were some issues at the end of the project with some leaking that I think was ultimately resolved, but,
Yeah, I think that got us the first kiddie equipment
Yeah,
with the
I believe
splash
you're correct.
equipment. And even that's starting to show some age. You
But
know,
it
the
is
pump.
well used, that area of the pool
Definitely.
especially. Yeah, little kids love that,
Mhm.
which in turn makes parents love it. So we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay,
You're up again.
last year, council had approved having Deanna Fleming put a bid package together for the Market Street, Valley Street sanitary manhole installation project. They put it together. The project consists of constructing 9 new manholes on Valley Street. With PennDOT coming up and coming, we need to put some manholes in there so we can check to see where our sewer is at. They have the bid package together, and I would need council's approval to go ahead and bid the project out.
Make a motion, we approve bidding the project out.
I second it.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Every year, we are required to bid out crushed stone aggregates, bituminous concrete, and stockpile patching material through our MEG manual. The reason for bidding this out is to get the best pricing on it, and since we are under the state, we're also required by law to bid any purchases or contracts over the $21,000 threshold. And I would need council's approval to go ahead and do that.
I'll make a motion to put that out for bid.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Last thing I have is, it's that time again of year to advertise for the lifeguards and the pool manager. So I would like to request council's approval to do so.
Who's part of actually hiring these folks?
Personnel. Personnel
Oh,
committee.
okay. I'll make a motion to approve, start hiring these people.
To advertise.
Just to
Just
Yes.
advertise, right?
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That's everything I have, thank you.
Fire chief isn't here, is that same fire?
He's outside.
Oh, he's out of town, okay. Mayor?
To do this to you guys, I have a couple things to talk to you. First of all, I had a gentleman stop by my office last week that had some suggestions on what could be done up in front of the post office as far as parking. I know some of the meters up there people do abuse and stay on longer than what they should. And his suggestion was to possibly remove 3 of the meters and put signs up for post office business only, 5 to 10 minutes. And maybe like, well, he suggested 3 or 4, but we would have to do that many. But, I know myself, I do plug the meter, but I very, very seldom ever see anybody put money in that meter when they're just running into, mail.
That's
you
the
know,
thought
something.
process, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if streets would wanna take a look at that and see if that's, anything that we might want to, process or not.
We can take it to streets.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay.
If they would take a look at it. I thought
Absolutely.
myself, seeing what I've seen up there, I thought this might be a good idea to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Secondly, though, as being the head of emergency services, I wanted to mention that Phil Lucas and I, and others in the area, are keeping an eye on this coronavirus. And if there would be, I hope and pray that there won't be an issue. There are policies in order, and we certainly would let everybody know what's going on, but hopefully, we don't see that. Just as an FYI, last Tuesday, the Dr. Parcells board members met, and Mark Remy had presented a petition that will go towards the be presented at the Court of Common Pleas of Mifflin County. And what this will do is give permission to have the funds transferred to what Dr. Parcel had initially mentioned on his will to aid in the needy people of Mifflin County. So I wanted to tell you it was a unanimous vote, and I wanted to thank Mark for everything that he did on that. I know it was a little bit of a long drawn out thing, but, and the board, we had a wonderful board, so things are moving on that, and I want you to know. The County Boroughs Association has.
What association?
County Boroughs Association,
okay.
that would be Juniata County, yes. We have a dinner and an annual meeting, and we're in the process of setting this up. Right now, I don't have an actual date, but I do know it's gonna be in April. So it'd be nice,
I
if
went
we had a
last year, I
nice,
believe.
yeah, you were there last year. So it'd be nice to have, representation from our borough.
Where is that, Mayor?
What?
Where is that located?
Well, we're going to have it down Juniata County again, and Representative Hershey will be the speaker. So as soon as I know, I will know by the April meeting, of course, because it is going to be later in April, and I'll pass it on. There will be invitations that will be sent out to everybody. So, last but not least, PSAB, Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs, had notified Diana that the borough is celebrating 225th anniversary this year. And I don't know how it slipped by us, but we didn't know it. So what they wanted to do, and they had mentioned to Diana, is that they would like to present a plaque to us and wanted to know what our celebration was going to be. Well, that was like, what, 2 weeks ago? I actually have a plan. I had a plan, and I went to, presented it to the Chamber and Visitor Center, and they were really excited about getting on board with it, which I don't know what we'd do without those two over there. So we're going to be celebrating it on the actual date, which is April the 1st. It's on a Wednesday. It'll be an evening function between the hours of 6 and 8. And what I had proposed was we're going to have 3 buildings open: our Borough Hall, the McCoy House, and the Historic Courthouse. And there will be people in costume in each location. Here it's going to be a 1960s police uniform, and because the police department used to be in our building along with some holding cells, you know. So that person's going to speak. Down at McCoy House, there's going to be a gentleman, Tyler Gum. I'm sure a lot of you know him. He's going to be represented as General McCoy and speak of the conflict that he was involved in. Over in the Historic Courthouse, in the courtroom, which if any of you have not been in the courtroom of the Historic Courthouse, you've got to go. I mean, it's just such an awesome room. You'll want to see that. But there will be Forrest Fisher, and he's going to be the judge and tell about the trial that resulted in a hanging down here in Monument Square. So he's going to be talking about that. So that should be it. Yeah.
Can't go back.
Calm down. Okay, and then downstairs, I'm going to be Dorcas Buchanan, which was the first white woman settler in the borough. So I will be speaking, and there'll be places where you can get your picture taken and things. There will be refreshments served in the first floor here at the Borough Hall. So I think we're throwing it together at the last minute. I think it's going to be pretty nice. We do have a representative from PSAB that will be coming and actually presenting the plaque to us at 6:15 downstairs, here at the Borough Hall. So I hope everybody will put that on their calendar and try to make it. It's 225 years. It's not too shabby. So I hope everybody can come. You guys too. Everybody back here, do you hear what I said?
Chair.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thanks,
No,
Mayor.
here, Jeremy.
So, yeah. Dave, you're next.
Okay,
Jerry.
statistics for February, we had 525 calls for service, 48 traffic citations, 19 non-traffic
65 written warnings were issued. Just to keep you updated on our new portable radios, they're now in use for the officers. We're still under the old radio system with the county until they get some things worked out with the state, and with Motorola, the software and things like that, but they at least have the new portable radios and are using them. We'll eventually switch over to the new system. Civil service testing, we're planning on doing that sometime in late April. Tomorrow we're having a civil service commission meeting. Hope to get that finalized. But if anyone knows of anybody's interested in applying, as long as you're enrolled in an Act 120 program or have completed it, you're eligible to test. So if anybody knows of anybody that's interested, we'll take applications now and we'll be advertising in the near future for that. And just an update, we have had a lot of thefts from vehicles in the past week or so in the borough. Over the weekend, officers did make an arrest, thanks to a citizen who got a pretty good description. They were able to contact a suspect in the area and made an arrest in those. So hopefully that slows them down a little bit. With the weather getting warmer, I'm sure we'll see more activity, people out and about. So keep your eyes open, keep your doors locked, just be prepared. But hopefully that will slow them down a little bit. That's all I have for now.
Thanks, Chief. Rep. Ford,
Madam President, I forgot something.
absolutely, Mayor.
With this anniversary, and Diana and I also talked about this, the Chamber and the Visitor Center is purchasing 2 banners to be put out in front of the historic courthouse. And we thought that it would be nice for us to have one here at the Borough. Printworks here in Market Street have agreed to make 53 by 20. It's not a huge banner, but decent size for $45. And I was asking for approval for that.
Just 2 banners for the 250.
Just
Well,
one.
the Chamber and the Visitor Center are going to buy theirs for the, but we wanted one for here.
I see.
And that would be part of the thing to be in the borough also.
Ultimately, that's under the borough manager's discretion or
Yeah, she
spending
can.
level.
She thought that it would be a good idea for me to bring it to you, so,
I think it's a wonderful idea.
yeah. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No, you're fine, don't worry. Rec Board didn't meet, they had no quorum. Mr. Remy, we are up to you, and
Everybody has in front of them a Borough of Lewistown Neighborhood Bright Light Reclamation and Revitalization Ordinance. This was actually approved for publication back in December, and I've been rather busy the past couple months, and I just got around to getting it advertised for adoption, so it's before you for adoption today. This, we want to do a number of things with this. It increases the borough's kind of toolkit to take action against owners of property with serious code violations, allowing them to be sued personally, or a proceeding in equity, meaning a proceeding asking the judge to force them to fix up their property or be in contempt of court. It has the ability to extradite out-of-state property owners, although I don't anticipate that being used very often. It allows for asset attachment of the property of owners who have serious code violations. And it allows for the denial of certain municipal and zoning permits to people who are in violation of building codes. So this was worked on kind of throughout 2019, and it's ready for adoption if Borough Council so desires tonight.
Essentially just another tool in our toolbox to
Yeah,
lighting properties.
yeah. I mean, as we'll talk about in executive session, we have litigation going on with an owner of a blighted property that is just protracted, and this will give us in that specific case, some tools we may be able to work with too. So.
I really, this is the first time I'm sort of seeing this one. I wouldn't mind having a little time to go over it. Just,
It's created this long.
yeah, I hate that we would want to pull it up, but, you know, as much of them,
We can table it to later in the meeting.
Because how long after you advertise it do you have to adopt it?
Tonight.
You have to adopt it tonight or you have
Because
to
it's already been
re-advertise it
advertised.
because, yeah.
We'll pick
You
it back
sent
up.
this out, didn't you, and everybody?
He
I
did.
do.
Yeah.
I'm not getting, I'm not,
I don't know, you might not have seen it. Take some time to look at it now, and then we'll come back to it. You want to talk about the other ordinance? Second Amendment?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Do you want, Dave, do you want to talk about that, or do you want me to talk about it?
Doesn't matter to me,
Yeah, I mean, we can, if Mark wants to talk about that, that's fine, if not, we can just
no,
wait until.
I'm good.
No, we're talking about something else now, Mr. Terry.
Wrong mark.
Wrong mark.
Sorry.
I assumed it would be under his since it's a.
I sent around a,
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry, Dave.
do you want me to go?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'd sent around a draft of a Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance. For the newer people, I guess this started probably, I'd say, late last year. The borough was approached by like a citizens group who was interested in the borough, actually the county, adopting a Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance. I think originally maybe they had wanted the borough's support, but then it kind of changed into possibly the borough adopting it on its own. This is part of a movement that's in other states, in other parts of Pennsylvania, to prevent municipal employees and municipal assets going towards violating people's Second Amendment rights. So what I had done is I had sent you 2 copies of this. The first was essentially the supervisors of West Manheim Township, York County adopted ordinance, which was pretty similar to what they had presented in terms of the county ordinance back in December. And I had kind of like crossed out on there the things that I myself had gotten rid of, but it's up to council whether you would really want those things in there or not. And I just tried to distill it down to really, I guess, the parts of it that were most important, which would be, you know, the provisions that nobody from the borough, no employee, official of the borough, while acting in their official capacity, will violate Second Amendment or PA Constitution firearms rights, or use assets of the borough to violate federal or state constitutional rights regarding keeping and bearing of arms. So that part I left in there. I left in there the exceptions that were in the model ordinance, and we discussed it at length a couple times in Law and Ordinance Committee, and I think the thought was, let's go to Borough Council and determine whether there's interest in council in moving forward with this issue. Dave, you want to add anything? Or?
No, I mean, that sums it up. It's just a layer of protection, you know, that we've seen in other areas of the country where essentially unconstitutional or unfederally authorized gun grabs have taken place, or limitations on gun ownership or certain types of weapons or magazines. And it's just an added layer of protection to prevent possibly happening here, if that will ever, or could ever arise.
Are we voting to adopt this?
No, Larry, we're just kind of, this would be voting even to advertise it or even just for discussion. You know, whether, really, I mean, we got to a point, I think, in Law and Ordinance Committee where we said, okay, we can present this to council and see if council's really interested in moving forward with it.
I mean, I think that it has definitely been hashed out amongst, it started here at a council meeting and then went through 2 law and ordinance committee meetings and got to a point where there was nothing more we could do in committee. It needed to come out to council, but ultimately, I'd be willing to make a motion to advertise it.
I'll second that motion.
First and a second. Any other discussion? Anyone have any questions about the proposed ordinance?
I guess, do you like it in the form that I put it in, or is there anything that's not in there that council wants added, or?
Is this what you're talking about, you wrote up?
Correct.
Yes.
And this is,
I'm concerned
this is
that's,
the original.
Yeah.
I think this is our basis for you.
It has all the essentials in there that we need to make sure.
I mean, it was obviously about protecting citizens. But there was also some things in the original version that it also come to a point where we needed to worry about protecting the borough as well, involving state law. And I think that it's there.
Okay, so we have a first and we have a second. Let's take a vote. Sorry, Jen.
Dave Campbell,
Yes.
Stephen DeArmond,
Yes.
Larry Sear,
Yes.
Mark Terry,
Yes.
Aaron Wilson,
Yes.
Bill Wilson,
Yes.
Dina Shade.
Yes.
So, advertise.
We'll advertise that and bring that back for official adoption next meeting.
I have some executive session issues.
Okay.
Are we gonna do anything with it tonight?
We are. Can we go back to that? I think, Mr. Terry, you said that you were okay with it?
Oh, okay.
I just was just new to it, I just wanted to make sure.
You wanna-
I think, I was breaking down the soil. I think it's like, well, the right tools, I think, sitting in there, it's not anything they're regular.
No, it's
Sure.
definitely people with serious code
Right,
violations.
right.
So, yeah, it looks good.
Okay, so we are now able to take a motion, that's okay, on the blighted property ordinance.
Make a motion to adopt it.
Okay.
I'll second. You're good, Mark?
Any other discussion or questions on the blighted property ordinance? Okay, we'll take a vote.
Dave Campbell,
Yes.
Stephen DeArmond,
Yes.
Larry Sear,
Yes.
Mark Terry,
Yes.
Aaron Wilson,
Yes.
Bill Wilson, Dina Shade.
Yes.
So this is now essentially a public document.
Correct, correct.
You help to keep this ball hold.
I'd like to thank all of you for that.
You're welcome. We're hoping that this gets us somewhere with that issue.
Now the proof will be in the pudding.
Correct.
The only thing that doesn't come with is a big pile of money to.
Yeah. Do I need to sign that somewhere? Okay, now we have new and unfinished business. We needed an appointment by resolution for the tax poll committee. Tax
Collection Committee.
collection,
alternate delegate.
sorry. And that is Frank Barrier. You guys?
Yeah.
Thank you. So we need to pass that resolution?
you ready to?
Yeah, sure.
I'll move to pass that resolution.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Mr. Wilson, did you say no? Okay. Next we have, what's this one? Okay, I gotta find it. Mr. Remy's gonna fill you in on this next resolution, I'm sorry.
When is the meeting for PennDOT?
Wednesday. Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
Yes, down at the community center, from 3 to 8?
2 o'clock.
3
Starts
to
at
8?
2.
2 to 8? 2 o'clock, she's saying, I thought it was 3, but 2 o'clock. I double checked that if I read.
No, it's 4 to 6.
No,
They changed it?
it was longer than that, it was 3 to 8, I thought, but you were the one that sent me the.
for public officials.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
4 o'clock.
4
Oh, 4 o'clock. Thanks, Dave.
4 o'clock.
Okay, resolution regarding PSAB. Mr. Remy?
Yeah, as you know, the municipal authority sued the borough back in January, and this month, a group called Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Association filed a petition to intervene, which was granted by the court on Friday. There was a court hearing about it, and in attendance was the president of PSAB, along with PSAB's lawyer, and afterwards they told us that they would be willing to,
No one can hear you.
they would be willing to offer financial and legal assistance to the borough in the lawsuit. So what they require is a resolution from the borough asking them for assistance. So that's what this resolution says.
Are there copies of it?
You can take a look at this one if you want to. Just lean back after you're done.
Let me just read it.
Sure, go ahead.
Let's see, resolution. It's entitled "A Resolution of the Borough Council of the Borough of Lewistown, Mifflin County, Pennsylvania, requesting assistance from the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs." Whereas the Borough of Lewistown is a longstanding member of the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs, and whereas the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs is a statewide nonpartisan nonprofit organization established in 1911, which represents the interests of boroughs, helps to shape the laws applicable to boroughs, and generally provides legislative advocacy, research, education, and other services. In particular, its primary objectives are to provide legislative and regulatory representation, promote constructive and cooperative relationships between governments, and to deliver training and technical assistance to borough officials, and to provide cost-effective programs and services. And whereas the municipal authority of the Borough of Lewistown has sued the Borough of Lewistown over the Borough of Lewistown's efforts to exercise its rights under the Municipal Authorities Act, and whereas the Borough of Lewistown wishes to request whatever assistance said Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs is able to offer with regard to said litigation, now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Lewistown, and it is hereby resolved by the authority of the same, that the Borough Council of the Borough of Lewistown hereby requests whatever assistance the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs is able to offer with regards to litigation involving the municipal authority of the Borough of Lewistown, any appeals, including financial assistance, and the Borough Council of the Borough of Lewistown hereby invites the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs to take whatever action the association sees fit with regard to participation in said litigation involving the municipal authority of the Borough of Lewistown, including intervention, and to act as amicus curiae in any appeals. That just means friend of the court. It's a way they can file briefs in the appellate matter. Adopted as a resolution of the Borough Council of the Borough of Lewistown at a regular meeting on the date first above written.
Thank you.
Do you want a copy of it? Do you want me to-
No, I don't need a copy, yes, thank you.
They told us that we need to have a resolution if they are going to assist us. So
Correct.
that's why it's before council.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Next, we have the issue of allowing the contractor for the PennDOT traffic signals to use the upper portion of the library. We had talked about this, I think, November of last year. He asked for permission, and we were kind of like kicking around ideas of where else he could go, and we had suggested the lot on the other side of the river bridge, or the bridge there that's being replaced, Kish Creek. Unfortunately, that's not gonna work because they aren't finished with that project yet. We had thought that they would be, because the initial date was April. It was actually December, wasn't it? Yeah. So, we've, offered them the consolation and wanted to get council's approval to let them use the upper portion of the library, the portion that would be closest to the community garden, to the bank.
Now, are they going to consume the entire area up there?
No, just
I don't believe so.
The garden's gonna be open up there?
Oh, yeah, no, it should be fine.
They would just be parking in the cabin. They
Yeah.
wouldn't be going into the apartment.
Yeah. It looks like maybe a quarter of the parking lot is what their anticipation is,
So people
that upper
using,
quarter,
so people using the garden would still have the access that they've
and place
always
to park,
had?
yes.
Are they paying us?
We didn't ask for anything from them because they're actually benefiting us with all the traffic signal project
Right.
upgrades that they're doing.
We didn't ask for payment, Larry, because of the replacement of all the lights on Third Street. That's what the project is.
There's 11 intersections where they'll be replacing the traffic signal control boxes.
We have a motion and a second, correct? No? You don't need them? Okay.
I'll make
I'm
a
dreaming.
motion to allow them to use the upper part of the library lot.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Mr. Campbell?
Okay, in fire committee, discussion was brought up about, I guess what the terminology would be, waiving or postponing, not enforcing, three specific ordinances during fire convention. One being a noise ordinance, and the other, or another, being that technically Rec Park is closed after 9 p.m.
I think it's 10, but anyway. Mr. Clemens probably knows.
The other being alcohol being allowed in Rec Park during the convention. And they also brought up alcohol on the parade route. And I know that.
I guess I have a question as to why we need alcohol along the parade route.
My discussion with them, he said that wasn't, they weren't looking to have an alcohol on parade, but just at Rec Park.
They are or they're not?
No, they were not. when I discussed it, unless
Kind of looking at you,
something
Brandon.
changed.
It was brought up at fire committee, yes, every convention we've been to, that's what it leads to, the camping areas, the entertainment areas, and the parade route. You know, we're willing to work with you guys as much as we can, and we'll figure something out and hash it out, I'm not afraid of that. Will it hurt our attendance? I don't know. I mean, you're looking at probably 2,500 people coming to the Borough of Lewistown. You know, you're looking at revenue, you're looking at, and like Deb said, it's 225 years this year. You know, we can plug that right along with it.
I get you,
When
but I'm
this was
still not
originally
sure.
discussed, it was discussed that there would be no alcohol at Rec Park.
When was that, Larry? Because I'm not privy to that conversation.
When they first brought, Larry, you know that, when you first brought up about having that thing here.
I don't remember not the alcohol thing, no. I
Yeah.
don't bring it up.
The alcohol was originally was the rec center. That's
Because you said that there wouldn't be any drinking alcohol down at Rec Park.
I did not say that.
I can't imagine that.
It originally the distribution point originally was the rec center.
Correct.
So after further conversation with Diana and the fire committee, the rec center was booked. We don't know how it got booked between the last borough manager and now, assuming the last borough manager, it was booked. So there was lack of communication from his end, I don't know. So we had to scramble at that point, and we're trying to keep it contained as possible. Okay, we don't want it all over the borough of Lewistown. It just wouldn't be well.
You
So-
gotta be kidding.
What's that?
You gotta be kidding
About what?
about that. I went to.
Well, now listen,
I know what
if they step outside of Rec Park,
It's fair game.
right, this guy was already
He's got
talked
the
to,
right.
it's, these guys were already informed, they're fair game. We wanna keep it contained as much as we can to Rec Park. You know, they'll be down there at their campsites, that's where the entertainment's gonna be. We're not looking for guys carrying beer all over town, going from one place to another. It's gonna be in the packets, when they sign up for when they come into convention, they sign up, they're get a packet. It's gonna be well known that if you step outside of the limits of Rec Park, which are, correct me if I'm wrong, fenced pretty much the whole way around, am I correct? Well, except for the
Some of it is, some
upper,
of it
right.
So you walk up on the hill.
The
So
soon as
you're
we're
gonna
gonna
make Rec Park a giant bar for the weekend?
no, I wouldn't say a giant bar, no.
right. But
So
parade
if
route
I
is
wanna take- If
outside.
I'm gonna take my kid down there walking, I'm probably gonna see drunk stagger.
I'm not gonna guarantee anything, but Larry, you've been to conventions, have you not?
That's why I know what goes on.
But
Okay.
they've changed over the last 20 years. too.
Yeah, they're not like they used to be.
I'm definitely, you know the parade route is outside of Rec Park, right?
Correct.
Correct. And that's fine, we can deal with that.
Yeah, we'll deal with
Yeah, I
that on
am
our end.
in no
We'll
way,
put that
shape,
in
or
the
form
paperwork.
in
Right.
favor of that.
And that's
I
fine.
think we run into the state law issue there.
Well, you have an open container ordinance.
Correct.
first.
Exactly.
Correct.
Right.
You can't allow that because it's
We've
not fair
told
to
them that.
everybody else that goes to the borough,
Right.
walking down the street carrying a drink.
Yeah.
So-
And everybody thinks
We
they're
don't
gonna be
have
able
to
to
deal
do
with
it.
in the future.
Right.
Yeah, it'll set a precedent that we'd have to deal with in the
Exactly.
future. Oh, you let all your firemen buddies out here, you
And
know,
we've
Right.
had that
a week
discussion.
later, they're out there, they're here, oh, you let your.
And we've explained that to everybody that was at the fire committee meeting.
We've had that discussion. We
Did
do,
we
it's
not?
not fair to the public.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had that discussion.
And they'll
It
try
was-
it.
They wanted it brought up,
If
so.
you get away with it, they'll try to get away with it.
Right.
And that's
What
why
are-
we try to stop it.
What are the dates on the fire convention? August 15th,
13, 14, and 15.
13th, 14th?
Yeah.
The other question I had, Brandon, was I know that they're going to be parking on the grassy area of Rec Park, correct?
We will be responsible for anything that needs fixed.
Well, I didn't know if they would be responsible.
We already talked to Ray's Landscaping.
Okay.
We're gonna fix every divot and stuff like that, so we'll take care of that.
Dave, was there anything else?
No, I mean, aside the parade route, I guess it's just about,
What about the noise? I think you brought that up too, Dave, right? Noise ordinance? I thought I recalled at one meeting, Brandon, that you thought that the noise would be done by like 11.
We set the band schedules, and we set the quiet times in the packet when they come in, when they get it. So if we say quiet time's 11 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock. If somebody's not abiding by that, if the cops are patrolling it, if we're patrolling it, you know, you get a warning. Other night you're out. That's just how it is. I mean, that was in past conventions that we've been to. You know, you have your time, your quiet time. That's it. And it sounds like it's one big free-for-all down there as far as alcohol. You don't have random kegs sitting around, random bars, we're not doing keg stands, all that happy crap. There's a beer tent. There's one tent down there, it's in the basketball court. So it's fenced in. It shuts down at quiet time. You get a plastic 12-ounce mug and 2 chips for $5. We're not giving away free beer. So those chips.
Is there going to be some way that you're going to identify those individuals who are 21?
We have ramp certified bartenders with wristbands. Everybody's going to have one. And they will card everybody as they come up. It doesn't matter if 21 or 65. They're being carded.
Yeah.
Just trying to anticipate any other questions.
No, and that's fine. So once you get your mug and your 2 chips for $5, every beer refill after that's $2. So nothing's for free. So we're free and clear of the LCB laws, the state laws, all that. You know, it's all in how we word it. If we'd say $5 for a mug, you get 2 chips for free, you can't do that.
Okay.
So it's essentially the mug's $3. You're getting a discount on the first 2 chips at $1 each. Other than that, it's $2 a beer, and they're 12-ounce cups.
Where is this gonna be sold at?
In the basketball courts at Rec Park.
Beer
It is at the beer tent. It is contained to one area. You can't just buy beer wherever you want throughout Rec Park.
So do we need a license?
We do not.
Certified bartenders. They have certified bartenders. Are you going to have people at the entrances or exits, whichever way you want it,
Correct. We'll have
to
our
push
own
people back
Yeah.
who think that they can leave that perimeter
Correct.
with the alcohol?
We're gonna have more people with staff shirts on, patrol both ends of it. That way, if they go to leave, they tell them you gotta stay here with it, we're done.
Chief, are you prepared for this?
I think you're gonna need a license to sell beer down there.
We'll have all the proper. We're still working on. I was put on the legal committee, and I just found out. So we'll have all the proper paperwork.
Okay,
You know, you guys sitting at this table know me. We're not doing anything half-assed.
right.
Pardon my French, but I worked for Miller Coors for 12 years. If it has to do with alcohol, it'll be right. We're not gonna screw around. We're not gonna play with it. We're not gonna screw you guys over. That's just, you know, we want to do this right because it's us. I mean, it's good for the borough. So if we can.
It's good for the whole county because not everybody will be staying at Rec Park, correct?
Exactly.
Correct.
There'll
We
be
have
people
hotels out
utilizing
through,
the
and
hotels
restaurants are gonna
and
branch out.
restaurants.
I mean, this is.
You're actually looking at probably more than 2,500, because there's a lot of the older folks that was here in 75. They're waiting to come back here in 2020 because they had such a good time in 75. So you're probably actually looking at 3,500, 4,000. But they're all
Not
older
at one
folks.
time. I mean, you're not going to have them in droves like, you know, we just opened Disney World or something.
And they're all older people, so it's not like they're going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
We usually do regular breaks
I'm not 100% sure. I don't.
Most of it.
Okay.
There's some places we've changed because of apparatus issues, getting around corners and stuff. So 3/4 of the parade route's gonna be the same. The starting point's gonna be a little different. We're planning on starting at like the original parade routes were on Spruce Street going up and down. So we're gonna start at a lot of them up at the old Calvary Bible Church, Pine Street, and bringing them up Spruce and downtown. Because it's more feasible for the fire equipment, because we can put them on that back parking lot and start.
I don't mean to intervene, but I know the next question's gonna be asked. How are you gonna control the people that are driving them, whether or not they've been drinking?
for the parade?
If they're drinking, they don't drive them. If they are caught driving them, they will disqualify them for the parade right away.
We have a parade committee.
We have a parade
So
committee.
you don't have any way of stopping or checking that before they get in behind that?
As they register, that will be checked.
We don't even do the judging. They bring their own judges in. So the judges, when they come in to check out a piece of equipment, they check the driver. They have to know who that driver is. So if that guy's drinking, that piece stays right there where it's at.
I just knew that was gonna be asked, that's why I
Right.
asked you.
Yeah, so they
I
can,
wasn't thinking about it. Good call.
they can pick Hummel's Wharf, they can pick Smoking Dam, they can pick Danville, they can pick any certain area within the central district and say, you're the parade committee. So 8 guys come in, and they start at the front of the line and go the whole way to the back. That way there's no irresponsibility with any of that.
And trust me, the judges they bring in every year, they pull no punches.
Okay.
I've seen them stop equipment dead on their tracks.
And it's not just us running the show. I mean, we have central districts coming in. There's how many of those guys?
Look for the committee.
Yeah.
There's probably 25, 30 of them
Yeah, that are here
continuously.
for this. So it's not just us. We got a full committee that's on top of this.
Did you need anything tonight, or was it just more to inform us?
Well, what do we have some of that?
I think you're gonna need some like a motion or something to, not enforce those ordinances.
But I don't
Yeah.
think we
Wouldn't you?
did.
Because
But do we need to do that today?
Not tonight, but
Yeah.
yeah.
we
Yeah.
have to talk about it in our meeting, and this is coming up.
Yeah.
You want it clear on our meeting?
We have our next fire committee meeting April?
May.
April,
Yeah, we
right?
just had it in March. So last Monday was the last one.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, we're pressed for time.
Yeah, it's something that, I mean, if there's something we need to fix, or something we need to make better, to get this through so we can continue on, because if it comes May,
Right,
and
right,
here we
no, I
sit,
hear you,
you
I
know,
hear
we're
you.
looking at August,
Yep, I'm
you know, the more we
just
can.
asking,
We have a spring board meeting coming up in May
okay?
for the central district. That means all your top executives and everything from the central district. You guys are more than welcome to come and ask any questions. But when we go to that spring board meeting, they're gonna be asking, are you guys prepared? Is everything set? So we're kind of against the bar.
Put it out to the board there.
I mean, if anybody has any other questions,
How are you gonna police against people bringing their own alcohol?
you can't really. I mean, honestly, it's even in years past, if they throw a 30-pack in their car, or in their at a campsite, you
You're
know.
talking about campsites or in town?
Yeah, the campsites, right? Yeah, if they even walk the Lingles. My experience with going to them, if they're drinking,
They stay in the camp.
they stay in the campground. I mean, the last 10 years, 15 years I've been to them, they get the ramifications when you step outside the comfort zone. They know what's coming, and they don't want a drunken public and disorderly conduct. You know, they don't want that. I mean, if you've read the articles, volunteer fire stations are hurting for members. So you're looking at guys that are anywhere from 35 to 60 that are coming in. I mean, you have the handful of younger ones, but I mean, you're looking at 80%, 85, 90%, I would be safe saying, you're looking at responsible adults. The issues that you get are the people from the town that we've seen.
Right.
It's the locals that come in and they think they can pick a fight with somebody or act like an idiot and make fun.
You
You know,
have
that's,
provisions in place for that?
You're gonna have to bring in PA police because there's no way this force is gonna be able to cover that.
Well, we have
I don't-
Brendel and Mifflin County.
yeah, I think you'd be surprised. I mean, we've been in towns smaller. We've been in towns smaller where everything it's chill.
Look at Mifflin.
Yeah, that's
6, 7 years ago, they're smaller than we are, and they pulled it off with no problem.
Nanny Glow was another one.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't, there would be a picnic, trust me. You weren't there apparently.
Not just that night.
Any other questions?
I mean, things have changed over 10 years. Things have got really tight.
Well,
They pull no punches. They have no problems hesitating calling the police department. If we need to, we call them. And that's what I told Dave. I said, I have no problem calling cops. If somebody gives me a problem, hey, come and get this idiot. He's being a jerk.
put it back out to you guys. So what we need tonight is to give them approval to forego the ordinance on alcohol at Rec Park and the noise ordinance.
Well, I think probably the after hours, by the sounds of things, is gonna cover
Itself, I would think.
yeah. The alcohol would be, yeah, like you said, just in the Rec Park.
Just as they're responsible.
Venus, just to throw it out there, we're also gonna have 2 big vans, so people aren't walking. We're willing to transport people places. We're gonna take you, drop you off back at this time. If we come up here and you're not sitting there, you gotta walk back in your room, you get arrested, that's your problem. We're giving these guys time frames with vehicles.
Like if they wanna go to downrange tavern.
We'll drive you there.
Patrol it. We'll take a van load wherever you wanna go. We're gonna be back at 10 o'clock. Be ready, or you risk the chance of
Walking back and getting yourself
Yeah.
arrested. I think we're gonna put them in. I mean, we're just trying to simplify it as possible and trying to keep everybody out of trouble.
I understand. Thoughts? What do you want to do here?
I don't know, it sounds like that's what it takes to
Make it happen.
happen.
Just need a motion
I'll make a motion
So we need to suspend
to suspend
to suspend for
the
Alcohol,
alcohol and the
noise,
noise
and-
ordinance.
In the curfew and the
And-
grass.
Right, and the no parking and the grass provision.
Right. Just for this weekend.
The dates of August 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Yeah, I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just to clarify, the noise is only until the quiet time,
Correct,
so after that,
correct.
yes.
Yeah,
I
they, yeah,
just wanted to clarify that.
no.
Yeah, once
What
quiet
time's
time.
quiet time?
11.
11,
11
so
to 7.
I guess we could actually say that we will suspend it till 11. So that would give you an extra hour.
Are you still having it on Sunday also?
No, that's cleanup, everybody's out.
Cleanup, okay.
Okay.
People usually roll in Thursday night, Thursday afternoon, and then Sunday morning, you know, we dictate a time, so if you want them out by 9 o'clock, we put on 9 o'clock.
I think we agreed on the paperwork, everybody's gotta be out by 10.
Okay.
So 10 o'clock, the park's gotta be clear. 11 o'clock, we get out and we start cleaning.
Dave, this is a national night out.
That's
That's
the
August
week before.
Okay, I just was making sure.
You mentioned the legal committee, when everything is said and finalized and you have this so-called packet for construction or whatever, I think, I mean, you guys need to
We'll make sure
really
you guys
get
get
the
that.
chief and the mayor, so that our department is on the same page.
We can do
Because
that.
it is definitely gonna be, you know, these,
Yeah.
you can see the look in Jeremy's eyes.
He's gonna be busy.
Well, it's just,
Oh, I hope
they
not.
just gotta be open all aware.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
You're on
we'll-
vacation that week, aren't you?
Maybe now.
No, we will make sure everybody that,
Let's try to leave.
everybody will be filled in that needs to be.
We'll
For sure.
give
Right.
everybody package and we'll make sure the council knows.
So we have a motion and a second. Let's,
Is this the first time that this ever took place in?
they said it happened in 1975, I don't recall that.
1975 was the last time it was here. That was 45 years ago.
Convention is every year though.
Right.
It's just, it's a big thing for us to
Right.
get a situation.
Believe it or not, it's an honor.
It's been in Lewistown 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's something that circulates, you know, you put in 4 years out. So there's towns that have, every 4 years, they'll throw their name back out there. You know, no.
What were you gonna say, Deb?
Just now.
No, I said, what an honor it is to have it, because I know what these guys go through. Like they say, you put an application, and there might be 100 other fire companies who want to do the same thing,
When we put it in 4 years ago, there was 3 other companies that wanted it. So it was up for bid.
And you gotta appreciate the extra business and stuff this would bring into the community.
Definitely will
As
be.
long as we're mindful and we're pretty secure on the security and the other aspects of this.
I know when we looked at it before, they had come in and talked to us and explained to us, like they're saying, it's a lot different than what it was back in the 70s. It's more controlled, and there's this group that sort of watches over, so besides these guys, so. I think it'll be great for the area, economically especially.
Oh, it's definitely going to bring economics to mind.
Yeah.
So we have a first and a second. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Did the Second Amendment. Mr. Terry, we are up to you.
All right, now, again, these are sort of budgeted items, and there's a $20 increase with the Ehrlich's cost and some things. Is this something that we're just recommending to the council as a whole, or just something?
No, we need approval for these items.
Running down through Finance Committee.
You're gonna have to talk louder, Mark.
In Finance Committee, we discussed the approval of vegetation management agreement with Ehrlich for the wastewater treatment plant for $820, and it's an increase of $20 from the year before. Just go right down through the list and just approve them all.
No, one at a time.
I'll make a motion that we, re-enter the vegetation management agreement with Ehrlich. I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next.
Okay, and then number 2, approval cleaning agreement with New Vision for the municipal building and wastewater treatment plant.
These are the same people that we currently contract with.
They were cheapest.
Yes.
Did we get any other bids?
Yes, but these people were the cheapest.
We got
Yeah,
a bid.
New Vision, got them for $145.06 a month. The municipal building was $127.94 per quarter for wastewater treatment plant.
Excuse me, please. Could you speak up? We can't hear anything. Doesn't help that the air conditioner is now running too. Yeah.
Just asking for approval for the cleaning agreement that we have with New Vision and with municipal building and the wastewater treatment plant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And then number 3, approval for floor cleaning with New Vision.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And number 4, approve to bid out concession stand down at Rec Park.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I got one thing. What are the prices on the bids for the surveying down along the river?
We didn't get them all yet. We didn't get them yet.
Did you get any?
Well, you know, we've already trailer
People
and
down
tents
there.
down there.
Put that at the top of our list, please. Okay.
And it does, remember, we looked at that, it does appear like that one parcel of land is purchased, and the rest of it looks like it is borough property.
That's why we gotta get it surveyed.
Yeah, it's a mess, I mean, because that parallel, that road went through there and chopped up, existing parcels.
There's already a trailer in down there.
I don't know if it ever leaves, Larry.
I don't know.
No, it was out of there for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which
And
one?
then there's a tent up now.
I didn't see that.
You're talking about the main one, that you first pulled down in there, because that one has sat there, because I run through there fairly regularly.
Where they have the gate shut. They have the gate latch.
Right. And you go right down over there, that first big.
It's going down a little way.
There wasn't one there, so you're saying there's no one in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's two down there.
Okay. This was a couple days ago when I went down by. There's a tent down in there.
Yeah,
too.
we're definitely
Yeah.
at the top of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get this show. Any other public comments?
Venus, I have a question for Nate.
Sure.
Finance committee, the whole consolidation thing that we talked about, was that brought up in finance or no? We were and haven't had one since.
Okay, I got you.
last fire committee.
Okay, I thought it was, no, we're good.
Okay. So we will go, oh, I'm sorry, Deb.
You guys gotta do something with the speakers and microphones.
Something, I know.
It can't be that expensive and it can't be that difficult. We've been promised years for this. Even if we can start to hear it in the beginning.
Right.
And everybody they quit speaking loud. And
Do we know anybody?
it's just difficult to hear, and we come here to hear what's going on.
Well, we'll try to find somebody before the next meeting.
Thank you, I appreciate that, very.
Maybe I'll get everybody a bullhorn.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, it's not that.
Everybody turns that direction to
People
talk.
like me that are hearing impaired, or people like Phil, we can't tell you what you're saying.
I understand, I do.
Yeah. I don't wear hearing aids, but I still can't hear.
She doesn't want to be put in that category yet, right?
Yet.
Soon with all that shooting, Deb.
Yes. That one's a nightmare.
Okay, anyone else?
I'd like to say something.
You are?
I'm Beth Harriet.
And your address, Beth?
I live in Derry Township.
Okay, do you have that? Okay, thanks.
I just want to go back to something that you said during your statement about the municipal authority. I have an issue with something that you said. I feel like it was slanderous. You said, quote, the manager's campaign of misinformation. You guys need to realize that the manager doesn't only serve your council in your township. He works for every other township in this county. And he has a responsibility to all of the ratepayers that live in Mifflin County. When you guys made your resolution, I don't recall it being talked about anywhere. My understanding is that you did it during your executive session, which is private. And you're saying that he's giving out misinformation. But the problem is that you guys are not giving out information. So the only information that we're getting as ratepayers is what we hear other people talking about. And the fact that you guys need to understand that we're not just going to sit by and let this happen. You guys need to be honest with everyone in Mifflin County about what your plan is. And that's all I have to say.
What's that? I know. Okay, we're gonna break for executive session.
I have a question real quick.
You are who?
Kia Harris. I'm the city editor for the Lewistown Sentinel. I just, in the statement that you released to us.
I'm gonna give you a copy.
Well, no, I have a question relative to something that you said in your statement. Both in the one that we already published and.
You can ask me after the meeting, okay?
We'd like to hear it.
Ask a question.
We'd like to hear it.
I do think it's fair that the public hear the answer to your question, personally. But, it's just, I've heard you say more than once now, in that previous statement and this particular statement, that, the water authority has made it impossible to repay their debt for the next 10 years. Now, in all the information that I've looked at personally, I haven't seen anything that suggested that, so I was hoping that you could elucidate as to what you mean specifically.
That was the $30 million bond issue.
But what about the $30 million bond issue?
It wouldn't have been able to be paid off.
For what reason?
Because that's the way the bond would have worked. it would have taken 10 years.
Okay, so because they took out the $30 million in bonds, it
They
would
did
require
not.
10. Okay, now I see what you're saying. Thank you, that answers my question.
Okay. Okay, now we'll go into executive session.
We're gonna talk about, from me anyway, the Lions open rec